Hello, welcome everyone. Good to see you. Now, as I mentioned last time, we've crossed the episode 200, so we will go through all the stages of the practice bit by bit, explaining everything in a bit of a greater detail, going from the 3 stages of preparation all the way to the first stage, second stage, so forth. So to help you to get a good overview and also to help you to actually practice better at home. Also last time we covered the posture, the importance of the 3 qualities of the posture, which is upright, relaxed, and still. So learning to cultivate these 3 qualities. This is posture. We covered that last time, so we don't go into that today. Today is the second preparation, which is all about, you might already guess it, it's all about breathing. That was the reason why I went into the mechanics of breathing a little bit more in detail and add a bit of a visualization, slowing down the breathing process, get a fair chance to actually see what's going on in the body as you breathe in and out. Once the body is nice and open, meaning if you have these 3 initial qualities, still, upright and relaxed, then it opens the body for better breathing. And breathing is really, really important. If you don't breathe, you die. And it's not only that it sustains your life, but also it is responsible for the majority of detoxification in the body. Happens through the breath. I think it's something like 70% or so. It's just a ridiculously high number that the lungs expel toxins in various ways. By moving the lymph, for example, and just breathing out old stuff that the body doesn't need anymore, yes, CO2. So breathing is good for health if you breathe properly. Most people don't breathe really deeply. They breathe very superficially. Very often I ask people to take a deep breath. Metta, if you would take a deep breath, what would you do? Yeah, you see, you're changing your posture already. Yeah. You see, the first is the posture always. So you can't breathe if you're slouching like this. Yeah, you can't take a deep breath. But then I notice what you did when you take a deep breath. You're lifting the shoulder and the chest, right?
Get more air.
Yeah. So usually people lift the shoulders when they take a deep breath up, pulling the chest, the rib cage up, expanding the lungs that way. It gets you some air, but it's really inefficient. Most of the gas exchange in the lungs happens in the lower region of the lungs. It doesn't happen in the upper region. In the upper region you have an intake of about 4 milliliters of oxygen or so. In the lower regions it's 60. That's a lot more. So you want to breathe deeply. And we're breathing deeply where we're using the diaphragm instead of pulling it up with these muscles up here. So you want to actually kind of have a feeling of almost pulling the lungs down into your belly, expanding the ribcage downwards and sidewards. The way to kind of practice diaphragmatic breathing, always at first, the most simple way is probably just putting your hand on your belly and then breathing in, just feeling that the belly gently pushes into your hand. Gently. Please do not force ever. Don't strain these kind of practices. That's not good. But you can play a little bit with force as well, but ever so gently. Just take care with that. Just pushing a little bit as you breathe in, as you expand your belly. You have a feeling of the air going down, the lungs expanding, pulling the air down, almost like a bellow. You know a bellow, right? You use that to light the fire. So if you're expanding the bellow, it pulls the air in. That's the expansion of it. So your belly kind of has that function. As it expands, the air is sucked down, and then it contracts again, and it pushes the air back out, back up. So if you're opening your belly, the diaphragm is pulled down like this, opening the whole the rib cage, expanding the lungs. That pulls the air in. And if you're contracting the belly again, it also pushes the diaphragm back up, thereby also helping the lungs to expel air. That's very, very rudimentary, the way I explain it. I'm not a doctor. I don't really know what's going on in the body exactly, but it's kind of roughly like that. I think you can read it up anywhere or ask a friend who's knowledgeable about these kind of things. In short, deep breathing is really, really good for you. It massages, for example, your gut. And that is very good as such. If you're breathing only with the upper parts of the lungs, you're not massaging your gut. You're not using the belly to breathe. If you're using the belly to breathe, you're squeezing the gut as you breathe in and out. A good friend of mine, Andy, I think you know Andy, he posted a little cut through a body that was breathing in the belly, and you could actually see how the gut is moving and how much it is moving. It's pretty impressive, actually. I didn't think that it was moving that much if you're breathing properly, but it's moving significantly, which helps the digestive process, good for metabolism, it's good for overall health and energy levels. If you have more oxygen in the blood, your mind becomes more clear, becomes more sharp. You have a good, how do you call it, like a rate of, you're developing more energy in your cells if you're breathing more fully. The cells have more oxygen available, they can transform that into energy. Yes, so it increases cell metabolism. It's really, really good. And you can feel that actually. If you take a deep breath, you immediately feel the results in the body. I feel almost like a cool kind of sensation going everywhere into the body. It feels like a cooling down. Literally, it feels like a coolness coming everywhere, into the legs, into the arms. It's amazing. It's super nice. Another great benefit that comes with deeper breathing is, and that's very well known, it de-stresses you. It is a fact that if you would be confronted with a tiger, your breath would have to be very rapid, and your heartbeat would have to be very rapid, so it gets you ready to either fight or to run. And so your whole system better ramps up the energy reserves so you have a lot of energy available to do some extraordinary things. But nowadays, this response, this fight or flight response, we're kind of almost constantly in it because we're worried about things, or worrying about things, being fearful about things, etc. So it's, or angry or something like that, and it really disturbs the body a great deal. Deeper breathing then kind of is a way of telling your body, it's almost like language. You can tell your nervous system, everything's fine. You wouldn't take a deep breath if you're confronted with a tiger. So you're kind of telling your body, it's all right. See, I'm breathing deeply. I'm not in danger. I wouldn't be breathing deeply if I was in danger. So the body understands that language, and so it calms down. It becomes soft again. And it takes a little while, and give it that time. If somebody has a panic attack and you're with them, then you want to walk them into a breathing exercise and help them to slow down their breathing. It's the first kind of thing you do. You talk calmly with them and help them to slow down their breathing. Breathe together with them. Adapt to their rhythm at first, and then slow down together with them. It takes off their mind of the distressing thoughts. It slows everything down, thereby eliminating the stress response, coming into, I think they call it relaxation response, just the opposite. If you can't sleep at night, breathe deeply and just keep your mind with the breath. It's fine. You just make it like a funny game. So, all right, I can't sleep anyways, so I'm trying to stay awake and focus on the breath. I'm just doing meditation practice. You reverse the thing, because most people make the mistake of trying to sleep. They're angry at being awake. They can't sleep, because the nature of the mind is angry then. How can you sleep when you're angry at being awake? So it's important then to maybe turn the whole thing around and say, okay, I'm awake, so let's try to stay awake and focus on the breath and put in a meditation session. The amount of relaxation that you receive in a meditation session is just as good as with deep sleeping. Same thing, particularly if your meditation really takes off and you get really, really good. You get the same amount of relaxation. It's amazing. So you relax, stay with the breath, stay focused on the breath. There's so many benefits. It clears the mind, it detoxes the body, it helps digestion, improves overall health, improves well-being, it de-stresses you. So there's all these nice reasons for actually practicing deeper breathing, and that's only just on the level of the physicality. A level of emotion, deep breathing also has many benefits. If you are actually starting to breathe deeply, many people start at first to feel very constricted and super uncomfortable. If you tell them, okay, take a few very deep breaths, and then they sit down into their first meditation session and start to breathe with their belly, many suddenly start to feel like emotional stuff coming up, like anxiety or like fear or sadness, grief, old grief, also very common. Like so many people nowadays, they experience a traumatic event. Maybe somebody they love very much dies, and they immediately go back to work. They don't even deal with their feelings. They immediately kind of suppress them and keep themselves busy and distracted, which often is perceived as being a welcome thing, yes. Without being at work, I would be a total mess. So fortunately, I could go to work, so it kept me off the thing. But that's not good, because we're not keeping ourselves off the thing, we just push it deeper down. And then later on, when you're on a meditation retreat or so, and you're actually really starting to calm down and breathe deeper and so forth, then all this old stuff often comes up. Guilt, shame, and so forth, and old memories. It almost seems as if emotions can be stored in the muscles somehow. And if these muscles are activated when you're breathing, it's almost like that stuff comes up again. It's been hardened and then it comes up to the surface. So that might be the case, that at first when you're breathing more deeply, that you might be confronted with feelings that are a bit uncomfortable. That's all right, as long as you're not forcing your breath, that's all right, and it's quite normal. Just keep breathing deeply, let the feelings come up, let the feelings, it's almost like steam that passes through you. Just let it steam out. It's something old leaving the system, that's all right. You can just let that happen. You don't need to do anything about it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to try to push it back down. You don't need to try to get rid of it in any way. Just let it steam through you and leave your system. Slowly, slowly. Some take time. Some leave rather fast. Just keep going. So there's not too much to be said about the breath, other than it's really, really good for you to breathe deeply. And why do I put this into the beginning before we actually start with meditation sessions, the second preparation? Because it really calms you down. That's the main reason. It readies the mind for the practice. Taking a few deep breaths. And I basically almost ever say the same thing. In the beginning I say sit upright, head suspended from above, the body relaxed and at ease. Then take a few deep breaths, filling every cell in the body with fresh air. That is for you to really calm down and ready yourself. You're not just jumping into breathing meditation from the very first moment. You come home from work and bing, you try to focus on the breath. Not good. It's too fast. So nicely easing into the practice is important, and that's what the breath does. Also creates a bridge between the third preparation and the first one. First one is just purely physical, it's the body. The breath is in between the mental and the physical. It's almost like a bridge. And then the third preparation is all about your attitude, which is mental. It's the mental preparation, your mental posture. Physical posture, breath, mental posture. And so next session we will cover the attitude, which is also very, 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 very important. So all these three preparations, they are also, I call them sometimes the three conditioners of the practice. They condition your practice. This is something that you can check in with all the time. Even if you're far into the stages, you can always check in. How's my posture doing right now? How's the breath? Is it still comfortable? And how's my attitude? Okay, so that's all that comes to mind for today. I think that's enough. Are there any questions?